grabar, recording. Bien. Hola y buenos días. Muy buenos días. Very good morning. Muy buenos días. Muy buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Bien?
Bien, bien,
Yeah.
bien.
Okay. Bien. Bien. Fantastico. Just like in English, when the guy at the grocery store, even if you feel like garbage, and the guy in the grocery store says to you, yeah, how are you? I'm awful. No one does
Yeah.
that, even if you do. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
unless you're with your friends. ¿Sí? Bien. Y bueno, hoy es la última clase del otoño. This is that first fall segment. This is the last class, para que sepan. So we're kind of going to be trying to cram in as much as we can, but within reason. Well, kind of within reason. Okay. Uh, Vale, bien. Um, what on the agenda for today? We're going to leave numbers aside for a while because what we really need to devote our time to today is two big chunks. One big chunk is adjectives because
Mhm.
they do things that English doesn't do, and it feels weird to English speakers. So if you think it's weird and I made a bunch of mistakes, welcome to the club. Everybody does. It's a tough thing to get used to. So we're going to see a lot of examples. The way you really start to get a feel for it is to see so many examples that something up here clicks. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're going to see a lot of examples. You won't be perfect with it, and that's okay. To get a little bit of experience, a little under your belt, that is good and that helps. The second thing we're going to really focus on is verbs, big bad verbs. Big bad verbs because verbs in Spanish intimidate many people. If you're a French speaker, if your first language was French, venture to say German, really a lot of languages, the whole thing of doing a verb tense is not that intimidating because they have similar systems. They just do different patterns. Okay, in a lot of these languages. Not all languages, by the way, do verb tenses the way English or Spanish or other languages do. And I'm sure Kyoko could tell us way more about that than I would even know. But we do have to get used to what verb tenses do. And uh, from today's lesson here on out, it's a matter of hearing a lot of patterns and hearing a lot of stories. And then when you go into Duolingo, hopefully some of it will make some sense. But Duolingo does not give you the why
Mhm.
of, oh, I messed up. I think if you dig hard enough, it does. But Duolingo, by the way, I should mention before we start, Duolingo does have a one of the tabs, I forget how it's organized, uh, has little stories. And actually, even if you look on wherever you get podcasts to listen to like news podcasts or, story podcasts, Duolingo does podcasts with little stories. And some of those stories are the best thing because that is where the Duolingo method of just hearing and seeing a lot of examples starts to help. Because the more you hear the right way that people talk, the more you may say, this sounds weird, but you start to get used to the pattern. Okay. And that's a normal progression, and it just takes time. So you have to strap in for the ride and go with it. Um, okay, bien. We're going to start off with a little thing which does sort of go into the realm of adjectives in a way. Remember the reason why we're going to go back and look at that little page we had where you made the changes of going from, a month to the plural word months to some months using the some word to using the months, that page. And I'll put it up on the screen so that we can check it out. I imagine if you had some mistakes and you say, oh, shoot, I don't know if I did it right. This one, see, bien, because this won't
Mhm.
take long to. go on to. And the reason this is related to the adjective idea is that if you imagine that in our universe, we have the sun and all the planets circle around the sun, that's kind of how the nouns are. You got a noun, a name of a person, place, or thing, and everything that talks about that noun, that refers back to what that noun is about, revolves around it. It's got to go in the same form. Okay. And English doesn't do that, right? It's the red cars, not those, plural, cars. Oh, okay. That one I know. Reds. No, but Spanish does that. So every word that talks about the noun, the words that talk about the or some or and the words that talk about what that noun looks like, all those words refer back to the noun, and the noun becomes the sun. Everything has to go back and look at what is that noun, and I go into the same form as the noun. That's what all the little words will do. It's a tough thing to get used to. Vamos a ver, let's take a quick look. So, first thing we're going to do, and this is the rule that is not tough for people, en azul, in blue. This is the one that people don't find too terribly tough to adjust to. To make a noun plural, more than one, uh, we generally add an S, all right? The last letter of the noun always tells us how we make it plural. If the last letter of the noun is a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, we just add an S. If the last letter of a noun is not A-E-I-O-U, yeah, it's some other letter of the alphabet, an N, an L, a Z, okay? uh, then we need to add an ES. So that's not too terrible. We have a rule like that in English too. Church, churches. Yeah. ES. So this plural noun rule is kind of similar to English. Here's the one thing that is a little odd, but it's a spelling change, not a pronunciation change. So nouns that end in Z first have to flip the Z into the letter C, and then they add the ES. And that's not like a ton of words. It's a few words. So, okay. So the plural part is not tough, but remembering that any word for a or some has to look at masculine, feminine, singular, plural. That's different than English. Any word that means the has to look at the noun and say, is it masculine, feminine, singular, plural? And then do that. Okay. So el primer ejemplo, the first example. The word mes, month, ends in an S. Ah, shoot. Okay. Oh, not a vowel. That letter S at the end of mes is not a vowel. So we put an ES on the end to make it plural. It becomes meses, months. But then if I want to go from a month, un mes, to some months, it's unos meses, some months, unos meses. Okay? Meses is masculine. It's plural. So masculine plural for some is unos. Okay? Uh, the months, the month would be el mes, but the months, more than one, are los meses. Okay? En una frase, in a sentence, it would sound like this. Los meses del otoño, autumn, los meses del otoño son septiembre, octubre, noviembre. ¿Entienden? ¿Sí? Septiembre, octubre, noviembre, September, October, November, ¿sí? Los meses del otoño son septiembre, octubre, noviembre. Okay? Bien. Now, you might say, what if I mess up? What if I forget the los and I just say meses? people will understand you, but it'll be kind of a Tarzan talk thing. You know how in the old 30s movies in the 30s, Tarzan talked like this, Jane talked like this. Okay. Yeah, sounds funny. Okay, that's how it sounds to them. Can they understand your basic idea if you mess up and make a mistake? They probably do in most cases, but it's good to get it right so that people don't give you this look. Yeah. Okay. So we strive to get a little better every day, not to be perfect. Okay. Let's look at año. Año, masculino, masculine. So how do we make this more than one? Año. We're just making just the word año plural.
Add an S.
We add an S. It ends in an O vowel. Yeah. So it becomes
Años.
años. Okay. And now instead of un año, a year, we want some years.
Unos años.
Años.
Unos años. Unos años. Unos años. Ok. Un ejemplo. Unos años hace calor en el verano. Some years it's hot in the summer. Some years. Todos los años, all the years. Okay, let's go to the years. Instead of el año, the year, it becomes
Los
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 Los años.
años.
años, años. And remember, you want to pronounce it años, ños, right? Because anos is anuses. No. Los años is a legitimate word, but people are going to think you're very strange if you use that. Los años. God, seriously. Yeah, okay. Let's look at padre, the word for father. Padre. How do we make it fathers?
Padres.
Padres.
Padres. And by the way, padres, besides meaning fathers, also quite often, depends on the context, will mean both mom and dad together. Parents. Instead of just fathers, it can also mean parents, both mom and dad together, because the masculine form is it's a machismo thing in Spanish. The masculine form is used to, when in a mixed group, make it both people. Okay, some fathers, un padre, a dad,
Unos padres.
unos padres, unos padres, unos padres. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say? ¿Cómo se dice the fathers or the parents?
Los padres.
Los padres. Los padres. Los padres. Vale, bien. Animal. Animal. It means what it looks like. It means what it sounds like. Animal. Doesn't end in o or a or e. So, plural. Plural. Animals. ¿Cómo se dice animals?
Animales.
Animales.
Animales. No, no es como inglés animals, no, animales, animales, ¿ok? Un animal, an animal, some animals.
Unos animales.
Unos animales.
Unos animales, bien, bien. El animal, the animal.
Los
Los
animales.
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 Los animales. Un ejemplo, an example. Los animales en el desierto, in the desert, en el desierto, son interesantes. Listen to what happens. Los animales en el desierto, in the desert, that's not an adjective, yeah. Son interesantes. Animales interesantes. ¿Sí? Bien. Ok, vale. Hermano, brother. ¿Cómo se dice brothers?
Hermanos.
Hermanos. Hermanos. Hermanos. Hermanos, by the way, it's like the padre rule. If you make it plural, hermanos, it can mean brothers, just guys, brothers. It can mean brothers and sisters together, like our English word siblings. It doesn't, you have two sisters and three brothers. Mis hermanos, my brothers and sisters. We have to add and sisters or sub in the word siblings in English, but Spanish can just keep it mis hermanos, my brothers and sisters. Un hermano, a brother. Some brothers.
Unos
Hermanos.
hermanos.
Unos hermanos. Unos hermanos. ¿Ok? El hermano, the brother. ¿Cómo se dice the brothers?
Los hermanos.
Los hermanos. Uy, los hermanos. Los hermanos. Vale, sí, exacto. Los hermanos. Los hermanos. Ay, vale, vale, vale. Uy, momento. Ok. Ah, los hermanos. Y también los hermanos, sí, los hermanos van al parque. The brothers and sisters are going to the park. Los hermanos van, they're going al parque, to the park. Okay. And notice that phrases like al parque or en el desierto, those are prepositional phrases. They start with a preposition. The en, in or onward, or the al, to the word. So to and in are prepositions. And so en el parque will not go to plural like hermanos, yeah, because it's a prepositional phrase. Okay, hija, daughter. ¿Cómo se dice daughters?
Hijas.
Hijas.
Hijas, fácil, easy. It ends in an A, we just slap on an S. Una hija, a daughter. ¿Cómo se dice some daughters?
Unas hijas.
Hijas.
Unos hijos.
Unas hijas, la hija, the daughter. ¿Cómo se dice the daughters?
Las hijas.
Las hijas. Bien, bien, vale, bien. And notice how weird English is. We have son and daughter, and those words don't sound the same, but we have hijo and hija. And wow, those family words just differ in the gender. Not all Spanish words do that, but some of them do. Familia, ¿cómo se dice families?
Familias.
Familias. Bien, familias. Family, ¿cómo se dice some families?
Unas
familias.
familias.
Unas familias.
Unas familias. La familia, the family, ¿cómo se dice the families?
Las familias.
Las familias. See, you're getting the hang already. Ay, bien. Here's an oddball one because we got to have an oddball example. Luz. Luz means light. Light. It can be artificial light from a lamp. It can be light from the sun. It can be daylight. It can be moonlight. Any kind of light is luz. Now, looking at luz, you just got to know that it's feminine. There's nothing about the spelling of luz that tells us this is a feminine word. You just have to know from experience. But luz does an odd thing. It ends in a Z. So if I want to say the lights, like the lights of the city,
Luz.
yeah, the lights of the city. If I want to say lights, I need to swap out that Z first to a C, and then I slap on, because it's not a vowel,
Yes.
Yes.
luces,
Dulces.
luces, because CE sounds like say, right? Luces, lights. Okay. Lights. Una luz, a light, some lights.
Unas
Unas
luces.
luces. And this C is just a spelling change. It still sounds like luz, luces. Yeah?
Luces.
Yeah. If you know the word luz, nobody's asking you to write it down on a paper napkin in a restaurant. And yeah. So, la luz, the light, the lights,
Las
luces.
las luces. Okay. An example. Las luces de la ciudad de Nueva York. New York. Las luces de la ciudad de Nueva York. ¡Ay! Son muy bonitas. Son muy bonitas. Very pretty. ¿Sí? Las luces de Nueva York son muy bonitas. And bonitas, feminine plural, looks at luces, feminine plural, to get its form. Okay. Bien. Una palabra fácil. Persona, person. Plural. Persons.
Personas.
Personas. Yeah, that one's easy to make plural. Una persona, some persons becomes
Unas
Unas
personas.
unas
personas.
personas. La persona becomes the persons.
Las
Las personas.
Las personas. And las personas can sometimes be used to say people, las personas, but we have a different word in Spanish, para que sepan, just so you know. We have a different word which is not plural, but it's the equivalent, the true equivalent to people, and that is gente. La gente. La gente. And la gente in Spanish never goes plural. It could grammar speak, theoretically do it, but people don't say it that way. It's always la gente. So you may hear either one of these words to refer to people, either las personas, meaning, oh, it's more than one, or la gente, which even though it's a singular word, it refers to a group of people. Okay, bien. Vale. Bueno, taxi, taxi. Ends in a vowel. ¿Cómo se dice taxis?
Taxis.
Taxis. Where does that word taxi come from? No sé, I do not know. Is that a French thing that merged into English? No sé, I do not know. Taxi, taxi. Un taxi, a taxi. ¿Cómo se dice some taxis?
Unos.
Unos
Taxi.
taxis. ¿Sí? El taxi, the taxi, cab, if you want to be technical. El taxi, ¿cómo se dice? The taxis.
Los
Los.
taxis.
Los taxis, sí, okay. And you could say with this phrase, unos, por ejemplo, en contexto, in context, hay unos taxis, there are some taxis, hay unos taxis en la calle, hay unos taxis en la calle. There are some taxis on the street. Hay unos taxis en la calle. O, por ejemplo, with los taxis, you could say, es posible decir, los taxis están cerca del aeropuerto. The taxis are near the airport. Los taxis están, they're located, están cerca del aeropuerto. They're near the airport. Okay, bien. So, plural, just how nouns go plural. Yeah, we've got that S rule. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question before we move on? That one's not too hard. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at let's fold in, add in, bump up our level of difficulty to wrap in not just una, unos, unas to say a or some, not just el, la, los, las to say the, but we're going to fold in all those other little things that circle around the sun of the noun, and that means adjectives. And this is a tougher step up, a tougher bump up. Here is what happens. We're going to briefly start because you've seen this before. So we're going to start with our example of the color words because colors are adjectives. They're not the only adjectives. Things that describe sounds can be adjectives like loud or soft. Words for taste can be adjectives like delicious or disgusting. Words for visual things that are not colors can be adjectives like pretty or ugly. Okay? So adjectives are anything that describe a thing or a person or a place. They describe a noun. And the rules of how these adjectives need to change are illustrated by colors. Okay? Uh, the last letter of the adjective word will determine what form it needs to go into. So the adjective, the descriptive word, looks at the noun to get its form. It has to look at, is the noun a masculine or a feminine noun? Is it a singular or a plural noun? And these colors serve as just an example of how do adjectives change to do that? How do adjectives change into forms that are masculine or feminine, singular or plural? Okay. And the simple answer is any adjective, if we look at the last letter of the adjective. If the last letter of the adjective is a consonant, that means not a vowel. That means not A-E-I-O-U. If the last letter of the adjective is a consonant or the letter E, ooh, yeah, we can't change that. Or the letter E. Yeah, shoot. Uh, all those adjectives ends in an E or ends in a consonant. We use the exact same form for masculine and feminine. Yay. They share the form. Okay. So the only thing you have to worry about is looking at the noun and seeing, is it a onesie noun or is it a twosie, threesie, foursy? Yeah, something that is plural. So, and then you have to make the adjective plural. Okay. And then you do that by doing the same thing you did with nouns. Add an S or an ES. Okay, so last letter of azul, an adjective, blue, is an L. That's the same for masculine, same for feminine. All I do to make it plural is add ES, just like we did with the nouns that end in a consonant. Azul, azules. Yay. It's only a two-step thing. Yeah. Azul. Okay. So, el carro, car. El carro azul, blue car. Los carros azules. Right? Los ojos, eyes. Ojos azules, blue eyes. Okay. Bien. Verde. Verde ends in an E. I use verde both for feminine and for masculine. Okay. All I do is look also at, do I have a plural noun or a singular noun? If I have a plural noun, I do need to make that verde word plural. And because it ends in a vowel, I just slap on an S. Verdes. Yay. Let's look at another color word, marron. There are many words for brown. This is a slight wording. Yeah. If you go to Mexico, café, like the word for coffee, is often used for brown. But yeah, marron is a good example to get you practicing these adjectives. Marron, brown. Marron is the same for feminine, same for masculine. Marron, marron. Okay. Bien. But I do, if I need to make it plural, oh, doesn't end in an A-E-I-O-U. I need to slap on an E-S. Marrones. Marrones. Okay. Los chocolates marrones, brown chocolates. Yeah, they're not white chocolates. Yeah. Los chocolates marrones. Bien? Okay. Bien. We're going to skip the next one. We're going to skip the next one. We're going to skip the next one. Oh, skip, skip, skip. Oh, gris, gris. Gris ends in a consonant. Gris, gray. We use the same word for masculine, the same word for feminine, but If I need to make it plural, I do add on, and I can't add on another S. I can't have a double S in Spanish. It has to add on an ES. Grises, grises, gray. Okay. Bien. Vale. Okay. Now, many adjectives, not all, but many, many, many will end in an O. And for adjectives that end in an O, I do need to flip into a feminine form. And that's not too hard because I switch the O out for an A. I swap it out, right? So I'm not going to take the anaranjado because that's a hard word to pronounce. Let's look at amarillo. Amarillo. Amarillo, right? Yellow. Amarillo. I do have to change it into a feminine form to talk about a feminine noun. Amarilla. Amarilla. Okay. And to make them plural, I slap on the S. Amarillos, amarillas. See? Bien? Okay. Same with rojo. Rojo ends in an O. So it's easy. I just make it a feminine word if I'm talking about a feminine thing. Roja. So if I have a red pen, the word pen, la pluma, la pluma, la pluma roja. La pluma roja. If I have a red, no es una pluma roja. No es una pluma roja. It's not a red pen. See? And plural, rojos, rojas. See? Bien? So our example, in Spanish, los carros rojos would be like saying in English, those cars reds. That's what you have to force your brain to do in Spanish to make everything talking about carros a masculine form of a word and and a plural form of the word. You know, plumas, if I have a bunch of pens, plumas, I would have to make everything that talked about plumas a feminine and a plural word. Las plumas rojas, the red pens, las plumas rojas. You'll see a bunch of examples of these soon, okay? Uh, la palabra morado, morado is morado, masculine, but if I need to describe a thing that is feminine, I switch it into morada. And then we have corresponding plural forms for a plural noun. Morados, moradas, purple. Okay. Same with negro. Negro, black, negra, feminine form. Negros, masculine plural. Negras, feminine plural. Same with blanco. Blanco, white. Blanca, with an ending in an a at the end to make it feminine. Blancos, masculine plural. Blancas, feminine plural. Bien? Okay. These rules we use with the colors. We can apply the same rules to any word that is an adjective, that is any word that is a describing word. Words like cute, funny, interesting, ugly, loud. Any word that is a describing word. Okay, so let's see how that happens in practice. And then we'll try to do it with things that don't show you answers. Okay. I'm going to change one thing in my screen that I'm going to show you. We're going to have some very simple sentences you're going to hear and see, and I'll send you this link, so don't take copious notes. Be a sponge. See and absorb, okay? Because you'll get this exact file in the email after class. Okay, these are really simple sentences. They all use es or son, or tiene, has. They use simple verbs. They use is, are, or have. That's all they use. They don't use any kind of nouns that are, or excuse me, any kinds of verbs that are more complicated than is, are, or has. Okay, bien. Now, when we look at this word importante, importante, important. This is a cognate. It looks like important. It sounds different than important, but pretty darn close. And it means what you think. That means it's like what we call a cognate. Okay. Bien. Importante is talking about escuela, school. Okay. So if I say school is important, yeah, the word important is talking about school. It's describing school. Okay. So it's la escuela es importante. Importante ends in an e. That means, oh, doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine. I just slap that word on. Yeah. If I made this plural, I'd have to make a few little changes, wouldn't I? I'd have to say las. Ooh, help me out. Next word.
Escuelas.
Escuelas. And then I would need the plural verb son.
Importantes.
Importantes. I'd have to make that plural too. Ah, okay. Entienden? See how that works? Yeah. Oh, here we've got a plural word. Las chicas, girls. Las chicas son, the girls are. And if I want to use the word nice, the base word for nice is simpático. Simpático, ending in o, can't be used to talk about las chicas. Simpático needs to change into, changes that. The base word, uy, ay, 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 you didn't want to do that. ¿Qué pasa? The base word that we would use for simpático is, ay, still, ¿dónde está? Azul, blanco, blanco, vamos. Oh, entiendo. Aquí, bien. Ah, I see what is happening. It doesn't want to help me. Okay. I'm going to use this line instead. The base word is simpático, but I can't use simpático ending in an o, which sounds masculine, for las chicas. So I have to change simpático to make it become simpáticas. Yeah. Simpáticas. Simpático is the word for nice. Nice, pleasant. Okay. An agreeable, nice person. Okay. So I can't say las chicas son simpático. It has to become las chicas son simpáticas. As. See? As because chicas, also feminine plural. ¿Entienden? Understand that? See? Okay. If I talk about the cartoon figure, Marge Simpson, Marge Simpson has. Tiene. Tiene. She has. Marge Simpson tiene. Marge Simpson has blue hair. But when I'm using the word blue, I'm not talking about Marge. I'm talking about her hair. And that word hair is a thing. It's a noun. And that word hair is the word pelo. El pelo. El pelo is masculine and one thing. Yeah. So I can keep that base word azul the same form. Azul. Okay. Bien. But now, what if I'm not talking about el pelo? What if I'm talking about las plumas, pens? It's a feminine word. Okay? Las plumas son. Las plumas son, if my base adjective describing word is azul, oh, azul stays the same for masculine or feminine, but now I've got more than one pen. So, las plumas son azules. That word blue had to go plural. It didn't worry about the feminine part because it doesn't end in an O. It ends in an l sound, okay? So I just make this plural, azules. Las plumas son azules. Las plumas son azules. In English, it would be like saying those pens are blues. If you make yourself talk weird in English, it'll help you remember what happens with the adjectives and the words. Those pens are blues. That's what Spanish does. Because that word blue is looking at the word pen to get it into its correct form. Okay. Otra vez. Let's look at a base word, a basic word. Difícil means difficult, hard. Yeah, difficult or hard. Okay. Difícil doesn't end in an O. Doesn't end in an O. So I don't worry about making it feminine or masculine. I do look at the singular or plural thing. So if I want to use the word difícil, difficult, to look at the word los libros, books. Yeah. Los libros son difíciles. Those books are hards, are difficult. Yikes. That's the pattern Spanish native speaker thinks in. That's the pattern they think in. Yeah. Los libros son difíciles. I didn't have to make it feminine or masculine because difícil uses the same form for either gender, but I did have to make it plural. I had to slap on an ES. I had to slap on an ES to make it a more than one word, just like I slapped on an ES to make it a more than one word. Okay? Bien? Vale? Now we've got a nationality. It's still a description. Italiano. Italiano means it's from a certain country. It's from the country of
Italy.
Italy. And Italiano ends in an O. And that means I need to flip it into a feminine form if I need that. Ooh, but I'm not describing a feminine thing. I'm describing los carros, cars, automobiles. Bien? Los carros Fiat. Oh, I've got a brand. Los carros Fiat son italianos. Son italianos. It was already masculine, but I needed to make it more than one. Those cars Fiat are Italians. That's the way they think. Los carros Fiat son italianos. Bien. Okay. Vale. Base word for delicious. And there are a lot of words for delicious, by the way. This is just one. Delicioso. Delicioso ends in an O. Uh-oh, I may have to make it feminine. I have to look at the noun. What am I talking about? Las papas fritas. French fries. Las papas fritas. That's a feminine thing. Las papas fritas. So if I want to say they're yummy, I need to take delicioso and make it a feminine word. And I need to make it a more than one word. So we have to morph that word from delicioso, that's the base form, to deliciosas. Las papas fritas son deliciosas. Las papas fritas. By the way, fritas is not a noun. Oh, fritas. Fritas means fried. It's a describing word. Papas, potatoes is the thing. So even the fried word. Fritas looks at papas. Fritas has to be both a feminine form of a describing word and a plural. So I've got two adjectives here. Las papas fritas, French fries, because they say fried potatoes. They don't say French. Las papas fritas son deliciosas. We got a twofer. Vale, bien. Okay. Let's look at perezoso, lazy. Lazy. I'll put in definitions here. Lazy. Perezoso ends in an O. I'm going to have to pay attention to gender, masculine, feminine, and then number, meaning is it one or more than one? If I talk about the kids, los chicos, los chicos. Los chicos son, the kids are, los chicos son, the kids are lazy. I need to take that word perezoso and put it into a plural form. I don't have to worry about it's already masculine, yeah? So that stays the same. But los chicos son perezosos. Los chicos son perezosos. I make it plural. Los chicos son perezosos. See? If I were using a If I were using a feminine, oh, let's see if this will let me do it. No, it won't. Yike. If I were using a feminine word, just girl, la chica es, because I wouldn't say la chica son, la chica es perezosa. Perezosa. ¿Sí? Bien? Okay. Los estudiantes son buenos. Our base word for good is bueno. Good. Bueno. Bueno. Bueno ends in an O. It just means good. Like buenos días. Okay. Los estudiantes is more than one. So I need to make that a plural idea. Los estudiantes son buenos. Right? Los estudiantes son buenos. Vale. Okay. Bien. We're going to skip the next one because that's a hard example. Here's all I'm going to tell you about this. We had the nice, easy nationality of Italiano, Italian. Lots of nationalities end in O, like Italiano, Mexicano, como peruano from Peru, right? Chileno from Chile, Argentino from Argentina. Okay, lots of nationalities end in O, but some don't. Nationalities are kind of a funny category unto themselves. So just know that nationalities do, even if they don't end in an O, have to go into a feminine form. So they're not like the word azul or verde. But we're going to skip that because it's a harder example. Okay. We're going to stick with easier examples. Nationalities that don't end in O are kind of a category unto themselves. So we're going to go into easy ones. Here is an example. Here is our base description. Rubio means blonde. Blonde. If I talk about the boys being blonde, right? Los chicos son. I can't just use los chicos son rubio. I have to say, oh, rubio looks at that word chicos, more than one. Los chicos son rubios. Los chicos son rubios. If we had all girls, las chicas son rubias. Rubias. Not rubios. Rubias. ¿Sí? Los chicos son rubios. Las chicas son rubias.
Does the
Bien.
word blonde mean Caucasian or does it mean blonde hair?
Ah, blonde is just blonde hair.
Uh,
Sí. Not Caucasian. I will give you an extra word, which does pertain to both hair color and sometimes skin tone. It's a Spanish thing. The word moreno. Moreno is used for brunette. Anybody with dark brown, any color of brown hair, brunette. See? Moreno. But it also refers to, I'm going to say, kind of tanned skin. Yeah. Brownish. Yeah. Okay. So many times, if they say, ella es morena, they might just be saying she's got brown hair. She's a brunette. But es morena might also, especially Mexico, it's a thing because of all the racial mixtures that happened with immigrants intermarrying with all the native peoples. People are various colors of brownish skin. So moreno can also mean tanned up skin and brunette hair. It's kind of a blanket term. But we can't take rubio, blonde, and say that also has to do with skin color. If they want to say you have white skin, and some people south of the border would, uh, uh, blanco. Eres blanco. You're white. Okay. Bien. Yeah. That happens. And they do use that term. Okay. Bien. Adelante. Buena pregunta. Good question. Let's look at impossible. Imposible is our base word. Impossible. And I don't need to make it into a separate feminine form because it doesn't end in an O. But if I talk about more than one woman, then I will need to make it into a plural form. Las mujeres son imposibles. Women are impossible. Las mujeres son imposibles. Son imposibles. Those women are impossibles. That's the way they think. That's the mental process a native Spanish speaker thinks in. Okay? Bien. I'm going to leave this for a bit. ¿Entienden? Understand basically? Básicamente? Putting that into practice is a little bit harder. I'm looking at the clock. What I want to do, I want to leave that for now. I'm going to uh, give you a little exercise to do this week to put that into practice. And I'm going to give you an exercise and I'm going to give you a separate file with the answers. So don't look at the answer. I'm going to put a warning in. Don't look at the answers ahead of time. Do it yourself. See how many you get right. You know what? Even if you only get half of them right, not bad, because it's a first trial. Yeah. I'm going to give you another video that will show you many examples. So the sequence I want you to use is watch the video that gives many adjective examples first. Look at the little exercise second, and then look at the answers to see how many you get right. Bien? Good? See? Many. Okay. That's what you'll have. We have to jump now because, sadly, because it is our last class of this session, we have to go into uh, what happens with the magic and difficult and scary world of verbs. Verbs are not nouns. So let's start there. Nouns are names for people, places, things. Ay, my phone suena la teléfono. Bien. Nouns are names for persons, places, and things, and they live in their own little family. So a noun is a sun, and all the words that revolve around that sun look at the noun for their form. But verbs are a different sun in a different galaxy, not far, far away, a near galaxy. Okay? Verbs are not like nouns. Verbs do interact with nouns. Nouns are people, places, or things. Verbs are action words. Verbs tell you what is happening. Okay. Verbs do not exist in the world of masculine, feminine. They do not. Nouns exist in the world of, we are categories of masculine and feminine. Verbs do not exist in the category of masculine and feminine. They do kind of exist in the world of singular or plural, but verbs are actions, okay? The reasons verbs are scary to English speakers is that English verbs that tell you an action only have a few forms, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples of English verbs and what we call conjugations. Conjugations, that term, is just a grammar term. It means that the verb goes into a particular kind of form. Okay, that's all it means. In English, if you have the verb spit, right? Spit is an action. And if you want to talk about something happening right now, spit. A person's doing that action. The verb conjugates according to who is doing the action. And in Spanish, the verb will also conjugate according to who does the action. But Spanish will have more categories or more conjugations, more, let's not call them categories, more conjugations, more forms for that word spit. In English, it's I spit, you spit, he spits, she spits. Oh, I spit, you spit, she spits. We put an S on the end. And that S isn't plural. It's just the English conjugation. Spits. Spit, spits. We spit. We get rid of the S at the end. Just spit. They spit. So English has spit, spits. English has write and writes. English has look and looks. English has eat and eats. I eat pasta. You eat pasta. She eats with an S at the end, pasta. We eat pasta. They eat pasta. All we have is eat and eats. But see, in Spanish, it's going to be not just eat and eats. It's going to be one conjugation for I eat, a separate conjugation for you eat, a separate conjugation for he or she eats, a different conjugation for we eat, another conjugation for they eat. Ay, Dios mío, good God, just shoot me now. This is hard. This is challenging. It's very hard for English speakers. Very hard because we have spit and spits, eat and eats. That's all we've got. You mean I got to learn 5 different? Yes. If you were in Spain, you'd need 6. But because we're doing the Latin American thing, we just need 5. Okay. So here is what happens. Conjugations, verbs go into conjugations. And verbs have a job in Spanish. Verbs tell you more information than an English verb does. Okay. Verbs tell you what the action is, like spit. Verbs also tell you who's doing it. The one word without any noun, without any person, place, or thing. It tells you who's doing it. And verb conjugations also have the job of telling you when that action is happening. Is it now? Was it yesterday? Was it all the time in the past? Is it in the future? Right? Actions happen now, in the past, or in the future. Well, a verb conjugation in Spanish wraps everything up in one ball of wax, wraps everything up into a neat package. Verb conjugations exist to tell you what the action of the verb is, who's doing it, and when it's happening. Oh, okay. So, why does Spanish use conjugations? Because they decided that's what they want. That's the job they want a verb to do. Okay? And Latin guys, people who spoke Latin wearing togas, did kind of similar things, not exactly the same, but kind of similar things. Okay, so we have base forms for verbs, right? In English, the base form of a verb is called an infinitive. An infinitive. And in English, all infinitives start with the word to. To spit, to eat, to ride, to drive, to make, to sleep, right? To write. But it's always to. But you don't say, I to write. A toddler who's 2 years old might say, I to write, Mommy, I to write my name. Mommy, I to draw a kitty. Do you understand what that toddler means? Yes. Does it sound goofy? Yes. Do you smack the toddler and say, What's wrong with you? I'm drawing the kitty. No, you don't do that. You just repeat back. When they say, Mommy, I to draw a kitty, you say, Oh, you're drawing a kitty. How nice. And they hear you say that. Your toddler hears you say, Oh, you draw a kitty. They hear you say that 50, 60, 70 times. And by the time they've heard that the 50th time, they say, That's the way to say it. And it's buried here, buried here. And it just comes out. Okay? We got to do the equivalent of that. Here's what happens in Spanish. Instead of to eat, to write, to work, to live, we have infinitives, but they go into 3 categories. And those 3 categories are not the word to, but the ending on the verb. The ending is an AR or the ending is an ER on that base infinitive, or the ending is an IR. Three categories of verbs. And all verbs in Spanish, every single one of them, will either end in as an infinitive, an AR, end in as an infinitive, ER, or end in as an infinitive, IR. Okay, that's what happens. Here's the good news, the happy news. AR infinitives in Spanish are the biggest category. If you made a big pie chart and you divided it up into portions, fractions, AR infinitives would probably be like 60%, maybe almost 70% of Spanish verbs, most of them. So the biggest and most important category is AR infinitives. Yay. Okay. ER and IR infinitives will most of the time hang together and do the same kind of thing. But AR infinitives will do their own thing for conjugations. And so, okay, let's look at some verbs that are infinitives, not the change verb yet. Hablar, AR infinitive, to speak. It doesn't tell you who's doing it yet or when, just what the action is. Viajar, to travel. Caminar also means the same thing, but a different word, but they mean the same action. Andar. They have two words for walk. They just do. Okay? Caminar, andar. Both mean to walk. Escuchar, to listen to. And that to is built in, by the way. Yeah? Escuchar. Escuchar, it's an AR verb. Comprar, to buy. It's an AR verb. Llegar, to arrive. But in English, what we wind up saying a lot of times instead of arrive is to get. Like, I'll get there. Yeah. You call your boss at the office, I'll get there at 8. Yeah. You generally won't pick up the phone and colloquially in English say, I'll arrive at 8. It's perfectly fine to say, I'll arrive at 8, but generally we say, I'll get there, right? Okay. To get to a place. Llegar. Usar, to use. Ah, bien. Bailar, to dance. Pagar, to pay. Okay? All of those are AR verbs. So let's look at what happens with AR verbs. AR verbs, really all verbs in Spanish. Your first job to use that verb and to tell who is doing it, to conjugate the verb. What we have to do first is get rid of that AR at the end. We chop it off. We get rid of it and we throw it away. Okay? And we say, in order to indicate that I am doing the action, it's going to take the letter O. And after we chop off the AR, we substitute in the letter O. Hablo, hablo, I speak. Hablo. Hablo español. Hablo español e inglés. Hablo español e inglés. Bien? Vale. And by the way, for all three categories, AR type verbs, ER type verbs, IR type verbs, this O ending is always a form to say yo, I'm doing it. All three of them use that one form, all of them, all the time. A verb that ends in O in present is a yo, I'm doing it verb. Okay, and it says that I'm doing it right now. Okay, hablo. But if you're doing it, I can't use hablo. I get rid of the AR, I chop that off. Whoop, I get rid of it. And Because it's an AR verb, I put in on an AS on the end, and it becomes hablas. Hablas. It's the friendly you. And so you can associate it with tú, right? Yo hablo, I speak. Tú hablas, you speak. Tú hablas. But you know what? People won't bother to say the word tú because hablas always means it's tú, you, one person. So they won't bother with the word tú. Why? The verb says that all by itself. It already tells me it's only for tú. Hablas. So somebody asks, do you speak Spanish? ¿Hablas español? ¿Hablas español? ¿Hablas español? Do you speak Spanish? Okay. To say that one person speaks, and that one person is not yo, and it's not tú, but it's one person, it's one guy or one gal, or we throw this into the same category, the formal you, the usted word. They will take an AR verb and just borrow that vowel from the AR, and it becomes habla, ending in the vowel, habla. Notice this habla is not like the feminine noun. This hablo is not like a masculine. These are not what you learned as o or a for masculine and feminine. These are in the verb category, and verbs aren't masculine, feminine. Okay? So these letters are not like what you learned for masculine, feminine vowel sounds. Verbs are their own category. Yeah? Okay. So, habla, ending in an a, means, oh, it comes from an AR verb. It means one person is speaking. See? Kyoko habla japonés. Kyoko speaks Japanese. I'm talking about Kyoko. Kyoko habla japonés. But if I'm talking to Kyoko, because I'm on a friendly basis with her, I would say, Kyoko, ¿hablas japonés? Do you speak Japanese?
Sí.
Sí. Sí, hablo japonés.
Oh.
Yo no hablo japonés. Bien? Okay. So, o means I'm doing it, associated with yo. As borrows the a from the AR ending. Yeah, but it puts an S on. That's tú. All verbs that end with a sound are two verbs. Yeah, those. And habla is one person. To say more than one person, we take the A from hablar, the AR ending, and we slap an N on. Hablan. Hablan. They speak. And remember, you had this little rule from your ser and estar verbs, right? Mos at the ends means we're doing it. That's going to apply in this situation. So just like you have somos, we are, or estamos, we're in a place. We have hablamos. Okay. And notice, hablo, hablas, habla, hablan, hablamos. Those vowels come from the fact that it's an AR verb. Verbs get lots of sounds in the verb endings. ¿Entienden? Understand? ¿Sí?
Mhm.
Bien? Okay, vale. And by the way, I'm going to send you a chart type thing that will help you see. This is a pattern. Verbs that are regular. And soy, eres, es, somos, son was not regular. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, están were not regular. all regular verbs, and you just have to know which ones are regular, will follow these patterns. So AR will follow these patterns. Okay, bien, vale. If I'm talking about these two people down here, more than one person, they're talking, right? They're
Mhm.
talking. How would I use just one word by itself with no noun at all to say they are talking? You've got it listed in this group up here. Which one of these
Hablan,
words up here we're talking about more than one?
hablan.
Hablan.
Hablan, right? I'm not in the group. Yeah. But it is plural because more than one person is doing that action. Hablan, hablan. If I put myself in that group and I add y yo in there, it would become hablamos. Yeah. And in Spanish, you don't have to say we are talking. It can just be the verb by itself. Hablamos. That says everything you need to know. It says we're doing it. It says I'm in a group. Yeah. And it tells you it's happening right now. That's the job that verbs have in Spanish. Okay. Bien. Let's take another look at another verb. We're going to look at another one real quickly here. Viajar, to travel. Viajar. We get rid of the AR at the end. Yeah. Viajar. The yo form is always going to add in an o. So the way to say I am traveling is
Viajo.
viajo.
Viajaba.
Viajo. If I'm talking to tú, you, one person, you,
Viajas.
Yeah, hablas.
Viajas.
viajas,
Yeah.
viajas, viajas. If I'm looking at this picture, it's just one girl by herself. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say? ¿Cómo se dice? She's traveling. Ella, she,
Viaja.
Hablan.
viaja.
Yeah.
And this at the end is not feminine, it's an action word. It's an A at the end, not because a girl is doing it, but because it's an AR verb. Yeah? Verbs are their own category. They're not nouns. Viaja. Ella, la mujer viaja. La chica viaja. Bien? If that girl had somebody else with her, together with her, it would be more than one. It would be
Viajan.
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 And if I plug myself in and I say, I'm going with her too, and I make it a we
Viajamos.
form,
Viajamos.
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 Bien, vale. Okay, bien. Now that's just a tidbit. That's just a tidbit. We have to take a look at what the ER and IR are going to do. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of rushing this. You know, this is something that takes a very long time to get used to. And what I'm going to recommend for now is, again, I'm going to send you some, like a couple more videos that will just let you hear some people using these kind of normal verbs. So you get used to hearing the pattern of how that sounds. Okay. And they're going to be like super slow, easy examples. See? Bien? Okay. But so in a core, in a nutshell, AR verbs have lots of vowels in them, but they just use these endings. I'll send you a chart that'll give you those. See? Bien? But now we've got this kind of not really a problem, but the fact that AR verbs are one of three types of verbs. The other types of verbs are ER and IR. And they do a lot of the similar things, but they go off their own way for one type of conjugation. So I'm going to show you those two types. All right. And let's take the very, very easy verb of comer, to eat. Comer is not an AR verb. It's an ER verb. Okay. And that's the next biggest category. And a regular ER verb will do this. Como. It gets rid of the ER to use it Yeah, to say that I eat, I have to first get rid of this ER. And for yo, it's always an O at the end. So, como. Bien? Okay,
Como.
bien. If I want to say you are eating, I'm going to borrow the sound from comer, and it becomes comes. Comes. Tú comes. But you don't have to say the word tú, but that's what we pair it up with, right? Comes. You're eating or you do eat. Come for only one person, not tú, but usted or one guy or one woman. Come. Or your dog. El perro come. El perro come. Now, if I want to make it more than one, instead of the dog eats, the dogs are eating. Comen. Comen. Notice N on the end of a verb makes it plural. That A part there is looking at the ER part of the infinitive. Ah, bien. Okay. And the we form is going to use a mos endings. But I need a vowel attached to the mos. And the vowel I'm going to use is saying, oh, look, it's an ER verb. It'll be an A sound tagged onto the mos. Comemos. Comemos. Bien? Okay? Como, I eat. Comes, you eat. See? Come, he eats or she eats, right? Comen, with an N at the end, they eat. And if I put myself into a group of people and it's a we idea, it's comemos, we are eating, right? Bien, vale. That is what ER verbs do. ER verbs, if they are regular ER verbs. We're going to take a look at IR verbs. IR verbs are going to share the endings with ER type verbs. ER and IR walk together most of the time. They make nice. They use the same things, but they go their own way for one conjugation only. So you're going to see what's going to happen. So if O at the end always means yo, it's vivo. I live. Vivo en Arizona. I live in Arizona. Vivo en Arizona. Bien. Vivo en Estados Unidos. Vivo en Estados Unidos. Bien. Here is where IR verbs go their own way. Instead of hemos, IR verb is going to say, ha ha ha. We're going to look at the I in the vivir infinitive, and we're going to make it imos. Vivimos.
Vivimos.
Vivimos. We're going to go our own way. 'Cause I'm an IR verb, and I don't want to do the same thing, right? I want this to be e sound. Vivimos. But for everything else, vivir is going to use the ER endings. Okay. Nosotros, it goes its own way. But for the other endings, it's going to do the same thing as comer did. It's going to use ES. Vives, you live. ¿Dónde vives? Where do you live? ¿Dónde vives? Where do you live? Vive, one person lives. See? Mi hermana vive en Michigan. See? Mi, mi primo, no, mi amigo vive en Colorado. Vive, one person. Make it more than one. Viven, viven, en, viven, more than one, right? I can only use vivimos if I am in the group with somebody else. If it's a they group, yeah, it's viven. Sí. Entienden? Understand? See?
Mhm.
So we got three categories of what we call regular verbs. Regular verbs will follow a pattern, so they are predictable. Okay, you just do have to know they're regular verbs, but there are a bunch. So we're going to take a look at what some ER and IR verbs are. Leer, to read. Uh, two verbs, comprender or entender. We could talk about that another time, but do have a word comprehend, which is kind of like that. Yeah. Comprender. Bien. Vender, to sell, is an ER verb. You just learn that with time. Responder, to respond, is an ER verb. Beber, which we can use it for water, but it's used a lot for alcohol. Beber. It can be used for water too, or milk or juice. Yeah. Beber. Beber, to drink. ER verb. And IR verbs are the smallest of the three categories. Yeah. There are fewer IR verbs than ER verbs. There are way fewer IR verbs than AR verbs, but there are some. So, vivir, to live, is an IR verb. Abrir, to open, is an IR verb. Escribir, to write, is an IR verb. Okay, bien. And these are all fall into the category of IRs that are regular. Okay, bien. They follow a pattern. So I will be, wow, we're almost up to our 11 o'clock time. And I know some people will have to dash at 11 o'clock. Uh, I will send you a couple more videos that will talk about these regular verbs, how to, like simple examples of how to use them. So you can listen to that and get the pattern in your brain. These are patterns that some people will tell you you must memorize it, but the more you hear little short stories and examples, the more that pattern will kick in to your brain. And if you want to try to memorize them, I won't discourage you, but to put it in practice is requires just doing a lot of examples, hearing a lot of examples, and doing a lot of examples. So that's what some of the videos will let you do. See? Bien?
Yeah.
Vale. So that's just really, to be honest, dipping our toe into the pool. It's just an introduction so that when you hear a story, you'll know why these words change in form. Things that group around the noun will follow what the noun does. The verb does its own thing. The verb tells the whole package story. It tells you what the action is, who's doing it, and when it's happening. For what you guys are learning, when it's happening is right now, what we call present tense, something that's going on right now. See? Bien?
Bien.
Yeah.
Whether that fall class is going to run or not, I don't know. My Monday class is going to be an easy level. And I typically take people, if people are in my Monday class and they're coming in from this level, I typically devise some easy things for us to do to practice so that we kind of group people at an appropriate level. So we'll just have to see with that beginner class if that runs or not. Don't know. See, bien, pick.
Are we gonna know it? Are we gonna know in enough time? For example, I've enrolled in the extension of this class. Are we gonna know in enough time if that's not gonna go so we can enroll in the other one?
There is always plenty of time to enroll into another one. I always, let me take that back. Next week is not too late. Let me put it that way. Next week is not too late. Uh, right now, it's sitting at 6. It may not run. It needs to be 8 or more.
So if it goes through, our next class be November 5th. Is that correct? November 5th for the next class if it's run.
Yeah, I don't know yet if they're going to run the same class Tuesday or not. I do not know.
But I applied for that. I mean, like register for
Yeah.
next one, November.
Scottsdale will make a decision
Okay.
sometime this week. They'll decide sometime this week. And if they decide tomorrow, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide today. If they decide, they notify you to tell you, oh, this class is going or this class is canceled, you know. And then you would have plenty of time to, you know, if you wanted to do the Monday class, to sign up for my Monday class, which runs the same time, 9:30 in the morning. So the day is different, the time is the same.
But if like continue from this class, it will be like November 5th or the level 1, right? It's beginner, I mean beginner, right?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
If the next because we have now finished today last day, and if next time it will be on November 5th, is that will
Yes.
be continue?
Yes, because next week is not running. Yes, that's correct. Gracias, Pixie. Okay, wait a minute. Let me take that back. If it runs on Tuesday, it won't be next week. If you sign up for the Monday class, it will start next week right away. That's a good class pick because actually that's two questions. If the Tuesday class runs, it will start November
5th, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, see, bien. It won't be next week. But if they cancel the Tuesday class, let's say we don't get enough people. If they cancel the Tuesday class, my Monday class will run right away next week, Monday. Does that make sense?
And we'll know before Monday to
You'll know,
change to.
you'll know because they'll say, "Oh, we're sorry, beginner Spanish on Tuesdays is canceled if we don't have 8."
Okay.
They'll send you an email if it's canceled. You know what? I will send you an email once I hear right away so that you know. I will not trust that Scottsdale will do it.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
will not trust somebody else to do that. They're supposed to, but I will not trust. I will let you know if that when they tell me Tuesday is go, we're doing it. I'll let you know. Tuesday, oop, not enough people, canceled. I will let you know. One way or the other. I will let you know through an email. How's that?
All right.
Do you already have enough people for the Monday class?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I
So
have
we can
tons of
still
people
sign
in the
up
Monday
later and not worry about that class being
I
canceled.
have lots of people in the Monday class.
Okay.
I have somewhere in the low teens, and there'll probably be a few more who will sign up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The Monday is it's Monday is for sure. For sure.
okay.
But just be aware if you choose to sign up for Monday, if the Tuesday class does not go, and if you're in the Monday, there will be people at different levels. There are some people who feel real comfortable speaking with a little harder things. There will be some people who do not and really struggle to do an AR, an ER, and IR verb. So
But in case like if Tuesday class is not open, and can we still assign for Monday class?
Before Monday?
yeah, you would have to, right. Then if Tuesday does not open up and if it does not run, then you'd have to sign up for that. But they would like credit you for the Tuesday class. So yeah. Most people pay by a credit card, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So they just credit it. Or they might not even credit it. They might just like change the registration. But I'll let you know. When they tell me, I will let you know. And I will actually send them an email today and say, "What's your decision?" Because I'm not going to wait. Because people like
Yeah.
you want to know what to do, right? So
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, and we don't want to miss Monday.
Yeah,
We're not
you
gonna
don't, and you
do
don't want to
Tuesday
miss
'cause it's
Monday
a
because
week before.
if you go into Monday, it is next Monday.
Yeah.
It's a long story. You don't want to know. It's a family thing. I got to accompany my husband to a hospital thing next week, Tuesday. So that's why that canceled out. But I will email Scottsdale right away when we're done here and I will ask them, what's your decision? I got people who need to know, and they'll probably get back to me by sometime this afternoon.
I just hope it's open, then we can continue the class like from now.
Yeah. You'll be able to switch into a different class if you want to. See. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
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 All good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good. Bien.
Okay. Magnífico. Muchísimas gracias.
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 Muchísimas gracias. Fue un placer. Wow.